Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as, investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence. Put in the work for yourself and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy.
All right, folks, here we are on Thursday, January 4th. We're going to take a look at QS. So we put in a video on Quantumscape just a few days ago. This is the chart you would have seen at that time. We were stuck down here, pulling back. We had some question if it was going to find some support off of the 630 level, and it is just exploding today. So we're just going to focus on the chart here, not news or catalyst or what have you, market cap. This is a chart video, so if you don't want it, just click off. So there was this gap that we had on the chart. Entered it at around 833, filled it around 873, and it has completed that, obviously, for the time being. So we're going to move this gap up, so that one's off the chart for now. And now it's pushing this gap here, entry point 967, fill at about 1111. And so my question is, it filled the one gap. Is it going to keep going? It wicked off of that at the moment. It's not uncommon to see these stocks treat these entry and exit points as support and resistance. So it wouldn't shock me if it pulls back from that for the time being, but who knows, what that means in the coming days. Now this does leave us a big sort of level gap between 807, which is the highest resistance level that we had, and 967, which is about the entry point of the gap. So let's take a look at previous price action, which is kind of thin, not too bad though, in this area, and see what we can pull in to see what might play a role as we go through this range. So if it pulls back 893, potential support level there. Let's see, this guy here about 940, so very close to where it's in, where it is now. Yeah, I feel good about those. We still have then kind of a big gap here. This is the one where it filled. Let's see if we want to throw anything in between there. Yeah, maybe right about there. Let's pick up these tops. Okay, maybe around 857 if that's needed. So let's see what this looks like currently. So I'm not going to put a bunch in the gap right now. Oh, there's this guy here that's not quite been filled. There's sort of a gap within a gap here. Almost missed that one. So that one is at 1013, so the high today for the time being 1003, so it's not quite there. So it's sort of gaps on gaps on gaps, which is, yeah, just some stocks are just gappy. So that said, if it does come down far enough at some point, it's now leaving a gap down here. What's the low of the day? 705. I don't know why this isn't pinning. Okay. 705, and would be right about here. Just turn that purple to say that's a support level, is also about the gap exit point. So 664. So yeah, within a couple pennies. All right, so this is the look as I currently have it. If we zoom in, it's going to make a little bit more sense. So off the 10-minute chart, coming in off of this and working through each of these levels for the time being, there's that gap at 1013. Here's the entry point, 967. That 967 is the one that actually fills way up at 1111. So a little confusing with gaps on gaps on gaps, but I think we have kind of made sense of it for the time being. So yeah, so those are the levels that I'm looking at. Obviously, anything to get into the 1013, then it could potentially put us on a path toward that 1111. If some additional price action starts to take place in there, it'll help, since it's a little thin at the moment. But 1056 is an area that I'd maybe look for in the gap. I'm not going to put it on the chart just now because it's starting to feel a little bit crowded. but you know, that psychological like battle for 1050 would kind of make sense. And then, like I say, if it does pull back, has a bunch of potential support here: 940, 893, 857, 807, and then, like I said, all the way down here. Then you gotta just be aware, if it starts to approach 7, you have a gap coming up. I don't know if some folks, you know, how heavy the profit taking is going to want to be versus the continuation, based off of, you know, maybe folks who bought in along the way here and are pretty happy with, you know, pretty solid percentage gain. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. Who knows? I mean, folks might be more interested to continue to try to push it higher. The market does wacky things. So here on the Thinkorswim study, you see sort of really herky-jerky here on the TTM squeeze indicator. So triggered, fired, nothing really happened. Triggered, fired, nothing really happened. And then sort of like way over here, we had a single candle trigger and fire, and then another single candle trigger and fire. So I'm not quite sure. It's a little bit too like illogical, like pattern wise, for me to feel confident in trying to decipher that. So I'm gonna not worry too much about the TTM squeeze indicator at the moment. You know, histogram wise, the bullish momentum had died down back to the baseline, obviously today picking up strong. So we'll see how that persists. Now we're out of the channel. So just as a reminder, as stocks get out of the channel, what we always look for is them at some point to reapproach the channel. And they can do a few different things. They can reapproach the channel and find support on the upper bound of the channel, this white bound here. That's often an indication of some more bullish momentum to be exhausted, right? There's more bullish strength there. Same thing if it happens to find support on the green wave cloud. That means that there's potentially more bullish momentum to exhaust. At some point, we look for it to come down and retest the mid-range of the channel, that bright blue line, and see what it does. Here, it jumped up again, and then it just fell through, right? It couldn't hold that second effort. That basically exhausted the remaining bullish momentum. So similar question here. We're going to be well out of the channel. That said, the channel is obviously dynamic, so it's going to drag the channel up, as you see, sort of sprinting up at the moment. Interestingly, for now, at least, the bottom bound of the channel is still curling down, so it's just making this super wide, primed for volatile price action sort of channel. And yeah, so the question is going to be, if we kick off a candle up here tomorrow, you know, what's the motion look like? How much distance does it keep from the upper bound of the channel, and for how long? What does it do when it reapproaches it? Like I said, where does it find support? What does it do when it eventually interacts with the mid-range of the channel? You know, those are all questions that I'm going to have depending on when it starts to interact with the channel again, which could be several days. Some stocks spend a long time out of the channel before they ever regroup and engage with it again. But, you know, it's just going to depend. Like I said, if the buying pressure continues to be there, if there's interest to work the stock through the gap, buyers keep stepping in, or if there's profit taking and it pulls back relatively quickly, you know what it does when that happens. All right, folks, I hope that your trading week has been going well. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.